The following program is brought to you by the Intergalactic Educational Audio Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of And So the Mind Reels. And for the holidays and for this end of the year, I thought I'd do something a little bit special. I thought I'd bring in a special guest that has a lot of knowledge, and she's quite dear and special to me. And I thought I just kind of mixed up a little bit because I talk about acting, I talk about improv, I talk about writing. Let's just throw caution to the wind and talk about something completely out of the realm of what I usually talk about, and that is the world of sports. I, by no means, am an expert. It's been a long time since I did anything sporty, per se. So I needed to bring someone in that knew a little bit about that and about teamwork, team building, and how this all kind of translates into real life, and kind of get a fresh, young perspective, if you know what I mean. Okay, are you ready for it? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself, special guest?
Hello, I'm Sophia Fugner.
Sophia Fugner.
Granddaughter. Yes.
So, you're my granddaughter, and we're going to talk about all kinds of crazy things. Is that right?
Yes, always.
Okay. So now, I usually talk about creativity and arts and acting and writing and all that stuff, but you're kind of in a whole other world, more in the sports, can we say?
Yes.
Sports. So tell us a little bit about your background in sports and what you do.
Okay, so I play school and club volleyball. I play 6th grade volleyball for my school and 12-year-old travel volleyball for a club. And for club, I travel all around the nation. For school, I stay locally.
That's really cool. What kind of places do you where do you go when you travel?
So for travel, we're gonna go to Ohio, Minnesota, I think, Illinois, Wisconsin, Florida, all kinds of places.
Well, that's really cool. And you just go there and you play, and then you come home.
Yep.
How early did you start doing sports related things? How young were you?
Well, I started playing volleyball in 3rd grade, but I started playing sports in kindergarten.
That's really early.
It is.
That's very early.
Very early.
And this wasn't just like in school gym type.
No, this was like I signed
outside.
up for school sports.
Okay. And what was that? What kind of things did you do?
In kindergarten, I played t-ball. 1st grade, I played softball, soccer. I think that's it. 2nd grade, I played softball and soccer. 3rd grade, I played softball, basketball, and volleyball.
Wow.
4th grade, I played softball, basketball, and volleyball. 5th grade, I played softball, volleyball, and then this year I'm playing volleyball.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff. I played Little League, baseball, and football, and that was it. And that was outside of, outside of school.
Yeah.
That I did those things. So another thing I usually talk about is some of the things that I do creatively and how I use those same things just in everyday life. So, I could pose that question to you. I don't know, like what skills you learned in sports. Well, I guess sportsmanship.
Yeah, teamwork.
Things like that you use outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find yourself just in a group situation kind of using that teamwork mentality
Yeah, well, I guess I was introduced to the teamwork mentality very young, but I never really adapted to it. I feel like I'm still like, I am great with people, like, socially, and I'm good on a team, but if I'm on a team, I always feel like I have to be the leader of the pack.
Oh, okay. Okay, but just in social situations, you don't assume that leadership role?
Yeah, in social situations, it's kind of just naturally, like, I don't feel like I have to be the leader. It's just kind of natural, but on a team or anything competitive, I always feel like I have to be the leader of the pack.
Right. And I guess another kind of thing you would do in sports that's similar to the creative field is like encouragement and building upon. Like, for example, when I do improv, we always use, like, there's a rule called yes and, which just kind of like builds other people. Like when they suggest something, you build upon that. And in sports, I always hear, like in baseball, let's say, pick me up. If someone does something that wasn't too good, they want to be lifted up and encouraged and
motivated.
Yeah. So that kind of crosses over into both worlds too.
Because I feel like that's kind of part of sportsmanship, but that also carries over into everyday life.
Oh yeah. Working as a team together. Yeah,
because encouragement is just an everyday thing that every person needs. Like, someone gets a bad grade on their test, like, you encourage them, tell them they'll do better next time or something like that. But you also tell people that in sports.
Oh, sure. Well, the athletic part of what you do, of course, like when I was in theater, we did warm-ups the same as like a team would do. Right before you go out on the stage, everybody has to kind of limber up and loosen up and different activities to kind of like just get your energy level really high before you get out there and.
Well, yeah, and that's something that also carries in, like, from theater or plays to volleyball or any sport, is you always have to warm up and make sure that your body is energized and ready, ready to play or ready to do anything.
Sure. Then I guess to use another one for improv, when I do improv, you never know what's going to happen, what somebody's going to say, what is going to happen on the stage, and you have to be ready and respond to it in the same way. I guess, like, I've watched you play volleyball, is you don't know if the ball is going to come to you or if it's going to come over there. You have to respond to. Yeah,
it's pretty hard to anticipate where the ball is going to go and when it's going to come. And something that is a little bit more popular this year is like tipping. So they'll just like take their hand and like boop right over the net, and it'll come over like super short. And you don't know that they're going to do that because they could hit it super deep, or they could just tip it right over super short, and you don't know which one they're going to do until it happens.
And you have to be ready for both, which way you're going to go.
Yeah, you got to have coverage on either situation.
And the other thing I've noticed in watching you is sometimes when you get turned, when the ball's coming and you turn around, you have to have kind of a sense of where the net is, but you're not seeing it.
Yeah, you have to have like a mental image of where everything is, like the outlines and the net and all of the different, like where everyone is, because you want to try and hit all the holes where people aren't, so they don't return it. Right. So you kind of have to have all these little mental pictures.
Yeah, that's tough. So I guess you get like a snapshot of, well, there's kind of a hole there, but I'm turned around facing the back, so I'm going to hit the ball this way over my head. So it's going to go
the opposite way. Yeah.
And try to hit that hole at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Right. Yes. And then to use the theater analogy, when you're out there, and I've memorized all my lines, I know what they are and what I have to say, and I know what this person who's talking to me on stage is supposed to say, and where they're going to be and where they're going to come in, and that spot. And if they don't hit that spot, or if they don't say that line, then I have to know what they're going to say and try to rephrase it. So there's a lot of crossovers between that and
because even with that, there's like an improv or any theater, play, musical, there's cues.
Exactly.
And in volleyball, there's not so much of cues because it's so unorganized. Like you don't ever know what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, it's like a free-form improv.
Yeah, so that's a big difference between theater and sports.
Yeah, I know with like when I played Little League, one of the things was focus. Because sometimes if you get put in the outfield, and I'm talking when I was really little, you get put in the outfield, not a lot of balls come out there because, they're little kids and they're not going to...
Yeah.
And you tend to daydream. And you're watching that game over there, or you're watching that guy in the parking lot, and you're not really what they call being present is like being totally in the moment of what's going on and what's going to happen, and that's really important in sports.
Yeah, that is a big thing. Like, it wasn't so important when we were little, but it's very important now because that could cost you multiple points or multiple plays. But there's also a lot of pressure. Like, you have to be paying attention. You have to be, especially with my position, because I am a libero, which basically means I never go in the front row. I always stay in the back. And I'm the main defensive player on my team. Okay. So I have to tell everyone in the back row where their position is. And I also have to know, like, when everything is going to come. But I also have to be paying attention at all times for myself and for other people.
Wow. You're responsible for a lot of things going on.
I am, yeah. And sometimes I'm even responsible for the front row, even though I don't play in the front row, which is also a lot of pressure. But it is... I wouldn't say it's easy to get used to, but, like, it takes a while, but once you get used to it, there's no ungetting you, like, you can't stop getting used to it. Like, it just, it only
second
goes...
nature to you, or like what they call like muscle memory. There's kind of like mental memory too, where you are totally focused on what's going on, because you have to keep track of a lot of different things going on.
Yeah.
And yourself.
Yeah, and you also have to pay attention to the other team too.
Oh, sure.
Because, like, if they're out of rotation, you could win multiple points for that. So paying attention to them and your team and the other team is a lot. But that's not only my job, that's the whole team's job, but I have to focus on that a lot more.
And you don't, and while this is going on, you don't have time as you're standing there going, did I have to do homework tonight? Or what am I going to wear tomorrow? None of that.
There's none of that. Thankfully, what I'm going to wear tomorrow is not that big of a deal for me because I wear a uniform to school.
Oh, well, there you go.
That is a lot easier. But homework is definitely something that I do forget a lot. And that is a very big struggle.
Yeah, I know how that is. Being in high school and I was in theater, a lot of, especially when I was production week, every other subject took a big back seat. So it would probably be reverse. Instead of you being on the court thinking about school work, you're actually in school probably more thinking about the volleyball court.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what you're
I'm always thinking more about volleyball than school, always.
Right.
Well, like, if it's a Monday, the whole day I'm thinking, can this just be over so I can go to volleyball? Like, I don't want to be here. But, like, if I could play volleyball every day and then not have to go to school, it would be a dream come true, like, actually. Because I don't want to go to school, but I want to play volleyball. So if I could just play volleyball all day, every day, but not have to go to school,
that would be perfect. That's what I used to think. If I could just be in theater and improv and doing that all the time, then...
But also, the only reason I want to go to school is PE.
Right, yeah.
Because it's so fun. Like, I don't favor volleyball over a ton of sports. Like, I'm pretty equally minded to multiple sports. So PE is a good mixture.
Right.
PE and recess and lunch. That's all I want to be there for.
Good. Those are good subjects.
And math. I like math.
Math is
I have a cool math teacher, so.
That makes all the difference. If you have a really good teacher in some subject, you really can like it.
Yeah, that's a lot
Definitely.
better.
Let me ask you this. So in focusing on what you do on the volleyball court, and you have to keep track of, the back row and the front row in that team, what they're doing, where they're positioned, and if the ball's coming to you, those kind of skills of being really present in the moment. Do you ever think that or realize that you might use that same thing where you're multitasking in your mind in the moment? Yeah,
I definitely use those skills in school because I could be trying to work on my math homework, but also because I probably forgot it last night because of volleyball. So I'm trying to, like, do all my math homework that I forgot the night before in, like, the 30 minutes I have before class, but also focusing on what everyone's talking about and all the new things that have happened to everyone over the weekend or over the past few days, which is pretty easy for me now. It was definitely a struggle before I started playing, but now that I have that, like, multitasking mindset, it's a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're young now, but you could probably take these same skills that you've learned, and, like, when you grow up and you go into, say, the corporate world, you're in a business situation, those same things are probably going to be in your mind, and you're going to be using those too because they always talk about team building, like improv have classes for team building for corporate people and how to respond to the yes and all those type of things. But the same with you with sports is using those same skills in a business environment or whatever you want to do. Yeah. You're probably going to carry those over too.
I hope so. Important. Even just like going into like the parenting world, like that's a very big that to have, because you have to always be thinking about your job and then your kids and then maybe if you have pets and then the housework and all these other side hobbies that you might have.
Yeah, I mean, think about it too. It's just seeing like large families. Well, you are talking about being at the grocery store. You see large families in the store and they got different aged kids. It's like a team. It's like the dad's the coach going, come on, Timmy, get out of the broccoli over there. Chelsea, come over here. I need to, it's kind of like, being on the court, in a basketball court, and we can use them in different areas, especially with sports. Yeah. That's why I think it's interesting having you here today, talking about that, because I know that the things that you use, you can use anywhere. And sometimes I guess you probably don't even realize sometimes that you're doing it. I mean, you might be in a different, like in school or in a social situation, walking down the hall or going to the bathroom or going to the drinking fountain, and like some of those same skills of sports or teamwork you're using it. You're not even thinking, oh wow, this is a team thing I'm doing right now. It just comes naturally.
It's so natural at this point. It's not like I used to realize it a lot. I'm like, I never used to be like this, but now it's just, when have I not been like this? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just so natural now, and I've been like this for 2 years now, so it feels a lot more natural now than it did before.
Right, and it's just gonna increase.
Yeah.
The more
I play, now, and the more I have that team.
Do you see yourself doing this for a very long time?
I have a full life plan for this volleyball thing.
That's awesome.
Once I want to play for the rest of middle school, and then once I get into high school, I want to play on the varsity team. That I know many people have told me that is a very unrealistic expectation, whatever. I think if I work hard enough, which I am right now because I have 2 days off throughout the week, I want to be on the varsity team for high school, and then once I get into college, I want to play college volleyball and then NCAA.
Would you ever think about the Olympic thing?
That would be an added bonus.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It'd be nice to bring home some medals and go on from there. Yeah. So after the volleyball thing, any plans after, say you retire early and draw a large paycheck and have Wheaties endorsements or whatever, doing Nike commercials? Anything beyond that, like law school,
like
or
regular jobs? Yes.
Not McDonald's or anything. No, nothing against McDonald's or anything, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, McDonald's. Thank you. I live off of you. Yeah, I mean, like, I've always loved like little kids, or just like kids below the age of 10. Mm-hmm.
So maybe like a coaching, maybe turning that around.
Yeah, either coaching or like really want to be a teacher, which also goes along with the kids thing. I don't know. I kind of want to be an interior designer. That's like one of the things that...
Interesting.
Because I really like I just got my room redone a few months ago, and I loved putting that together and finding all the colors for my walls and my new comforter, duvet, dresser, like furniture, stuff like that. It was really fun to put together. And then I when I was little, I want to be a doctor, but that's kind of like drifted away for now, just to see like how much commitment it takes. Right. Not that I'm against commitment. I'm a pretty good committed-er.
Committed-er?
Committed-er, yes.
Yes.
That's a word. Sure. Now. Anyways, it takes a lot of school, and I don't like school, so.
Right. Yeah. We all
just
get to that. Get to that point. So, I was just thinking as you were talking, it would be really interesting as you're talking about those different careers, is say like in, 15, 20 years, you and I get back together and we do this again and we talk about what you've actually done, and we find out.
That would be very interesting.
We find out how this ends.
Yeah.
What
like
happens.
The sequel.
Mm-hmm. Are you a nanny? Are you an interior designer?
Or
are you a shift leader at McDonald's?
In the Olympics.
We
don't know.
We don't know.
We do not know. But we will. We will.
We will.
We will find out. Wow.
Jinx.
ABC
Buy me a
Law.
Coke.
No. No.
Well, Sophia, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you today and finding out all this inside stuff that I guess I never really knew about what you do in the volleyball. I mean, I've seen you out there countless times, but I never really knew what was going through your mind behind those eyes, those laser focus eyes that you got going out there. And 20 years.
20 years.
We'll get back.
Yep, we got this. Hold on.
We'll do this
How old
again.
will I be? Oh, I will be 32 years old, folks.
Well, I think you should have made up your mind by then what you're going to do, don't you think?
Yeah, that's pretty
32,
young
maybe?
still.
All right. Yeah,
How old will you be?
I'll be 27 in amount of time. I'll still be able to run.
You're 27 now.
That's right. So I'll be 47.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you very much for being here. We'll
Thank
do
you
this
for having
again.
me.
Maybe we should do this again just every once in a while and just see how the story changes or if it stays the same.
And when I go to nationals.
That's right.
Because I
We'll
am
find out
for
what
sure going to
happens.
nationals this year. Even if we lose regionals,
Right.
I will for sure be going to nationals because we are a travel team.
And maybe we can talk about the different cities you visit and what the,
Oh yeah,
what
like
the food's like and stuff
yeah,
or whatever. And
the attractions.
The culture. Exactly. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you,
Thank
Sophia,
you.
for being here. And we'll do this again soon.